I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This video was gonna have a different title. I was so tempted to call it the 10 most alluring fragrances you can wear.
Blah, 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 blah.
But it just didn't feel authentic to the subject matter, to the ingredient we're focusing on today, and that is rose.
Incredible.
I had to go with romantic. Romantic is just more accurate. I thought that alluring might be more attractive to click on, so I might be sacrificing some views by using romantic, but I did not want to sacrifice authenticity. So I hope you enjoyed today's video all about rose fragrances that you guys should be checking out if you have not really delved into rose, or if you are a fan of rose. Either way, I'll dive into the structure of the video, but first let's talk a little bit about rose. Rose is easily one of the most lauded and exquisite ingredients used in skincare and perfumery for centuries now. Rose Absolute is the extracted essential oil used after they distill the rose down.
Chemistry's involved.
And unfortunately, most rose hybrids these days have lost their scent over the generations, and the primary species of rose that are used in cosmetics and aromatherapy and perfumery come from Bulgaria, Turkey, Russia, France, Morocco, and several other regions, especially in the Eastern world. Now, the scent profile of rose, I'm sure most of us have smelled rose before, but it can vary dependent upon its variety and how it's treated in the process of using it in a composition. But it is typically lemony fresh, a little bit powdery. It can be clean, and it can even be fruity, and each one of those elements can be more or less intense. It is commonly associated with being romantic, soft, and feminine, but it's just a personality, it's not a gender. Anyone can wear rose of any variety as long as you love it. And we're going to talk about 10 fragrances that use rose that hopefully you love at least one of them. As I typically like to do, I split up the fragrances into 3 categories of accessibility. Number 1 is starting. You're just starting out. Maybe you are afraid or intimidated by the idea of wearing rose, especially as a man, and I'm here to burst your bubble.
You're welcome in advance.
If you just want to get your toe wet into rose, I got 3 fragrances you should consider checking out. We have intrigued. You've already bursted the bubble. You're getting into more interesting fragrances, or you are at least more interested in more interesting fragrances. And I have 3 fragrances that use rose at the heart that you should definitely consider if you are becoming a little bit more adventurous. And our enthusiast tier, those who, again, been there, done that. You're looking for new olfactory experiences, something to challenge you, something to inspire you. And the reason why we have 10 fragrances in this video, typically we do 9, but I put 4 fragrances into this final tier because I just couldn't leave one of them out. So fight me. Let's dive right into it. In the starting tier, first up here is from Amouroud. They call this mysterious rose. This is a delicious rose. Honestly, it's not all that mysterious. It's really beautiful. It's really elegant. It's also very approachable. Something super easy to get next to and to understand. This is beautiful praline, almost like a chocolatey vanilla feel. Very creamy, smooth, rich, decadent. Definitely smells a little bit edible, all wrapped up in a beautiful rose that's a little juicy and in no way real powdery, at least to my nose. Perfectly unisex. An elegant fragrance to wear on an evening out when you're dressed up, especially guys. If you're afraid other people might find this a little feminine on you, but you love the scent, dress it up. Dress it up in all black, wait for an evening out, especially when it's not too warm, whether you're going on a date or just going out hoping to attract the next person you want to date. You'll smell confident. Mysterious Rose from Amouroud. Let me know if you've tried it. Unfortunately, this one is hard to find these days, harder and harder to find every single time I feature in a video, it seems. So I do apologize if you cannot really get it easily, but if you can get your nose on this and you still haven't, please do. From Cartier, we have Declaration d'un Soir. I'll be honest, this almost made it into the intrigued tier. It's a little bit polarizing. It is kind of love it or hate it, but I do think as far as rose goes, this is one of the more starting level, approachable, masculine rose fragrances you can buy. This is a rose fragrance for men who are afraid of rose. This is black pepper. It's spicy, it's woody, maybe a little bit green, more of a fresh, rosy, spicy, woody experience. It's so romantic, but still, again, very masculine. Again, I know it's hard to find. I'll link to what I can find down below, but you might have to not get this one right away. You might have to search around for a bit if you have yet to experience what I believe to be is a masterpiece. I don't say that lightly. Cartier Declaration d'un Soir. And the final fragrance in this tier, this is not the most rose forward, but rose is at the heart here and it does play a key role along with some beautiful elements. This is one of the absolute newest fragrances from the house of Argos and they call it Birth of Venus. You'll see the B-roll. Beautiful presentation, no surprise from the house, and the scent matches. A bouquet of florals and a mix of citruses and fruits. It is bright, it is juicy, it is fresh, and there's even this almost marine, like sea saltiness. Not so much the smell of the water. It doesn't smell aquatic, it's more like the air. The smell of salty air, and that perfectly matches the inspiration of the scent, which is this painting, but that is blended beautifully with some dark, succulent chocolate and rose, among other florals, but rose with raspberry is what sticks out the most to me here. There is a juiciness, there's a fullness to the rose, and no way powdery, but it is sweet, and that is layered on top of a bed of beautiful sandalwood and some other grounded, kind of woodier, sensual base notes that fill out the scent, give it some legs as it stays on the skin. Man, guys, this is going to be a beautiful one to check out for the fall time. It is perfectly unisex. Some guys may find it a little feminine leaning because of the floral quality, but I think a confident guy can pull this off no problem. Do check it out. Use the code FRESH10 to save 10% on any purchase at Argos. We are into our intrigued tier. And this fragrance up here, I almost included it in the starting level, which is funny, but the more I smelled it, the more I realized, while I do consider this to be an almost unhateable rose, I don't think that's a word, but we're going with it. I can see some guys being turned off, especially if they're already not a fan of rose, because of how unapologetically rosy it is. Nonetheless, if you smell this without shoving it up your nose, I think you're gonna fall in love with this, no matter who you are. This is from Zaharoff Signature Rosé. I always call it a rose fragrance for rose lovers and rose haters. And this is primarily a rose incense. There's some beautiful creamy vanilla which mixes with dark woods and almost comes off a little chocolatey. But there is this cooling, wispy smokiness that kind of just envelops this rose. Not really sweet and juicy. This is more of an airy scent profile. One thing I did forget to mention at the beginning, we're not talking about explicit rose oud fragrances. Rose and oud is a combination we see everywhere. In itself, it is its own thing. It is kind of its own genre, and that would open up this video way too widely. So we're gonna save rose oud for its own video. So we're just talking about rose forward. I think it's stunning. It features some of the highest quality rose you can get. Rose is a very expensive ingredient, by the way, because it takes a lot of roses to actually create rose absolute. I don't know numbers, but if I find numbers, I'll put them here on screen and your jaw will probably be on the floor. And this uses several varieties, and it just comes together as this beautiful rosy bouquet, but so well balanced, masterfully done. One of the most unique rose fragrances I've ever smelled, but all while being wearable by anyone who has started to appreciate rose. Check it out if you haven't already. Signature Rosé. We got a rose forward fragrance here that features an element that will turn some people off. This element is kind of a make or break for some people, and that is cumin. Cumin is a spice that can be a little funky. People say it kind of smells sweaty or like BO. For whatever reason, I'm a fan of cumin in fragrances. I have yet to find a fragrance that features cumin that I don't really like. This is a green rose with spicy, slightly warm cumin, but it is still a little bit fresh overall, and there's some woods backing it up. From Le Labo. This is Rose 31. Now this is my wife's bottle. I bought it for Christmas for her several years ago, and she has put a dent in it, as you can see. But I do think it's perfectly unisex. In fact, it kind of leans about as masculine as Declaration d'un Soir does because of the spices in here. It makes it more of a unisex, masculine leaning rose, in my opinion. And all I'm saying is that anyone can wear it. But guys, if you are a little bit squeamish and you're looking for more of a masculine leaning rose, this is one to consider, but I can't guarantee you're gonna like it or you're gonna find it approachable. Again, cumin might be what throws you off, but I would get a sample, I would put it on your hand and not shove it up your nose. Let it come to you, see what you think over the course of a few hours. Rose 31 from Le Labo. And I apologize, guys. I don't have 4 fragrances in the Enthusiast tier. I actually have 4 fragrances in this tier, the Intrigue tier. So we have 2 more to talk about in this tier, and then we'll have 3 in the final. Up next from Gallagher Fragrances, I'll be honest, I haven't worn this a ton since I got it. They sent this to me a couple years ago and I found it super intriguing. I can see how some people can be rubbed the wrong way by this scent because of a particular ingredient. From Gallagher we have, oh, this is beautiful, Rosé Noir. Now, they have a fragrance that is much more popular that they call Rosé All Day. I do have that, and I almost included it here, but I find rose to be a little bit more prominent in this one. However, I will say if you like Rosé All Day, you're probably gonna like this because it is built upon kind of the same structure. There is this warm fall spices vibe to it, like caramelized, sweet, warm apple, spicy, but there is this leathery, metallic rose that really makes the face of the scent. It's like the garnish on the pie, so to speak. And it really makes it a dark rose. It's a dark scent overall, but there's still something very elegant about it. And I think its darkness, again, maybe makes it right down the middle more. It makes it more appealing to guys who might be afraid rose smells too feminine. Have not really smelled a rose fragrance quite like this other than, again, its counterpart, Rosé All Day. This is good stuff. Rosé Noir from Gallagher Fragrances. Final fragrance in the Intrigue tier is coming from Kieran NYC. Very interesting rose fragrance. Almost simple on the surface, but there's a lot of depth here. This is called Rose Ink. The name is perfect. There is a juicy, opulent rosiness. I think there's a bit of citrus and black currant. Black currant is adding this juicy fruitiness that is not overly sweet here. And there is this inky feel, like a black, almost slightly rubbery inkiness, but it is so tamed, it's so well blended in here that all it does is it adds a unique flair to the scent. It's not your typical fruity rose. There's a very smooth edge. That's the best way I think I could describe it. If you're looking for a rather powerful, slightly edgy, but still very approachable rose fragrance that is mostly on the juicy, sweet side of things, I would check out Rose Ink from Kieran NYC. All right, final tier, Enthusiast. A lot of you guys saw this one coming, and this is one I haven't actually worn in a while, but I do plan to try to give it some more wearings this fall. It is so particular, I have to be in the mood for this, and I rarely am, but I do truly appreciate it for being a designer fragrance that really goes out on a limb here. From Moschino, Toy Boy. Probably my least favorite bottle in my collection, I'll be honest, but I gotta admit the scent is truly something special, albeit a little weird. I get pear, rose, there's a spicy element in here, I think it's pink pepper, maybe even some clove, that gives it this kind of prickly feel. There's something that is not completely approachable and welcoming about it. It's a little quirky for sure, but I think that's what helps make it a little bit special, a little bit more unique, and again, even more masculine. As you can see, we have a trend here. You pour spice into a rose fragrance, guys feel like they can actually wear it. It's not quite that absolute. Anyone can pull this off if you love the scent, but again, it's very peculiar. But I appreciate it. I'm gonna try to give it some more wearing. Let me know if you've tried Toy Boy. I know some of you hate it. I know some of you love it. Let's talk about it in the comments. From Panouge, one of the other very unique rose fragrances in my collection out of the many I have. And this is one that will not be for everyone. That's why it's in this tier. This smells like a bloody rose. I don't know much about chemistry or many of the ingredients used in perfumery, but there is something I've heard of called rose oxide, which is some kind of extract from rose. I'm not exactly sure. And it can smell very metallic. It's like a very metallic rose, and as a result it smells a little bloody. This is Rosa Goth. Green, fresh, metallic rose. But it works, but it's strange. It's supposed to depict, if I'm not mistaken, a rose growing from the concrete in the middle of a metropolitan area, some kind of large city. I get that feel here. There's something resilient about the scent. It is a little edgy, it's very artistic, but I can't get enough of it. I can't stop smelling it. I don't really wear it that much. I mainly just smell this one. But if you love the scent, if it moves you, if it resonates with you, you might want to wear this every day. I could see it being, oddly enough, a signature scent if it vibrates with your personality. Get a sample of this one, guys. This is different stuff. I know I may have turned you off by saying bloody so many times, but trust me, really special. Rosa Goth by Panouge. The final fragrance features a lot of ingredients, but rose is definitely at the heart, and again, it is maybe a little bit more masculine as a result of some of the other ingredients in here. Now, this is a classic from the 1960s, but if you're asking me, it doesn't smell dated. It is incredibly timeless, but it's a little bit strange. This is from Guerlain, and this is Habit Rouge. This is the eau de parfum version of it. When I first smelled this, I wasn't ready for it. It kind of smelled like a fresh deck of cards, but now I get way more nuance out of it. This is a lemony rose, lots of bright citrusy lemon. It's actually really beautiful when you first spray it on. That lemon pops and it kind of welcomes you in to this fresh, spicy rose. Lots of carnation in here as well, which supports the rose, giving it this very iconic spicy quality that might smell a little bit mature. I'll say it smells more mature than it smells vintage, but it does have a beautiful warm base of vanilla and amber, some moss in there, and there's definitely patchouli that peeks through a little bit, a little earthy and damp, but there's a nice sweetness in here. I think the vanilla, the ambery notes create this sweet warmth that underscores and supports this fresh spicy rose, and that lemon adds a nice beautiful pop up top. All that being said, not going to be for everyone, but if you're looking for a classic in your collection, one that is timeless, that will smell relevant, honestly, even in another 65 years, I would check out Habit Rouge from Guerlain. There's a reason why it's still being sold today after all these decades. I love these videos. It had been a while since we made one, so let me know what you think down in the comments if you've tried these fragrances, and there will be links to everything I talked about down in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.